On Valentine's Day, my husband didn't give me flowers. He gave me a DNA test. No card, no explanation, no smile. Just a small white box placed gently beside my coffee cup at exactly 7:12 a.m. And then he said nothing. That silence was louder than any accusation. For 13 years, Ethan had never missed a Valentine's Day. Roses, handwritten notes, overpriced reservations we both secretly complained about but attended anyway. Routine romance, predictable affection. But that morning, he kissed our daughter on the forehead, adjusted his watch, looked at me for half a second too long, and left for work. The box sat between us, between me and the version of my life I thought was stable. I didn't open it immediately. I stared at it like it might explode. On the front, a smiling family, clean typography, clinical promises. Know your truth. Truth. Such a harmless word, such a violent implication. Our daughter Lily was 8 years old, brown hair, hazel eyes, a dimple that neither of us had. We used to joke about that dimple. Recessive genes, Ethan would say. But this wasn't a joke. I picked up the box slowly. It wasn't addressed to Lily. It was addressed to me. My name printed clearly. And underneath, in Ethan's handwriting, for peace of mind. Peace of mind. Whose mind? My hands were steady when I opened it. That's the strange thing about shock. It doesn't always look dramatic. Inside were instructions, a swab kit, a prepaid return envelope, and a silence so deliberate it felt rehearsed. Ethan hadn't accused me. He hadn't confronted me. He hadn't asked questions. He had skipped straight to evidence. And that's what unsettled me most. Accusations can be argued. Emotions can be defended. Evidence? That's final. I sat at the kitchen table for almost an hour. Coffee gone cold. Lily upstairs getting dressed for school. I tried to trace back the moment this seed could have been planted. Was there something I said? Something he saw? A doubt that had been growing quietly in him for years? 8 years. That's how long this question had apparently been living between us without words. When Lily came downstairs, she noticed the box immediately. "What's that?" "Nothing," I said too quickly. She tilted her head. Children sense tension, like animals sense storms. "Is Dad mad?" "No." The lie felt small, but it felt necessary. I drove her to school that morning in a fog. Every red light felt accusatory. Every passing car felt like it knew something I didn't. When I got home, I didn't cry. I did something worse. I started replaying memories. Because here's the part no one tells you. When someone questions your integrity silently, you begin questioning yourself, not your actions, your memory. I met Ethan when I was 26. Safe, stable, kind. He wasn't explosive love. He was dependable love. And after a chaotic relationship in my early 20s, that stability felt like oxygen. Yes, there had been someone before him. Marcus. Intense. Magnetic. Unpredictable. The kind of man who made ordinary moments feel cinematic. The kind of man you promise yourself you'll never choose again. I ended things with Marcus 6 months before I met Ethan. Clean break. No overlap. No secrets. Or at least, that's how I remembered it. But memory bends under pressure. I did the math. Lily was born 9 months and 3 weeks after Ethan and I got engaged. Perfectly aligned. Except now, with that white box on my table, timelines began to feel slippery. Had there been a night? A moment? A goodbye that wasn't entirely finished? My chest tightened. Not because I thought Lily wasn't Ethan's, but because doubt, once introduced, infects everything. Ethan came home late that night, later than usual. He didn't ask if I'd opened it. I didn't ask why he bought it. We ate dinner across from each other, like actors performing normal. "How was work?" I asked. "Busy." "How's the Henderson account?" "Fine." Surface conversation, underwater tension. After Lily went to bed, he washed the dishes slowly. I stood in the doorway watching him. "Why didn't you just ask me?" I finally said. He kept his back to me. "Ask what?" "If you have a question." He dried his hands carefully, then turned. His face wasn't angry. It was tired. "I don't want to fight," he said. "So this is better?" "I just want certainty." Certainty. There it was. Not accusation, not betrayal. Uncertainty. "Have you been thinking about this for 8 years?" I asked quietly. He didn't answer directly. "Lily doesn't look like me." "She has your smile. She has your old boyfriend's eyes." The room went very still. "Marcus." He said the name without saying it. "You've been looking at his photos," I realized. Ethan didn't deny it. Social media, old tagged pictures, old mutual friends. Marcus had the same hazel eyes, the same shape. I felt something between anger and disbelief. "You think I lied to you?" I asked. "I think I need to know." That was worse, because it meant he wasn't sure. And uncertainty erodes trust more slowly, but more completely, than anger. "I never cheated on you," I said firmly. He nodded once. "I hope that's true." Hope, not belief. Hope. That night, we slept back to back, not touching, not arguing, not resolving, just separated by a white box sitting on the dresser. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and asked myself something terrifying. Why does his doubt hurt more than an accusation would? Because accusations are emotional. Doubt is analytical. Accusations come from jealousy. Doubt comes from calculation. And calculation means this wasn't impulsive. He had thought about it, measured timelines, compared features, researched tests, alone. For who knows how long. The next morning, the box was still unopened. He didn't mention it again, but the silence became strategic. Careful politeness, measured kindness, like we were both avoiding a trigger. 3 days passed. The box stayed on the dresser, an artifact of suspicion. On the fourth night, Ethan finally said something that changed everything. "If it's mine, we never talk about this again." If. That word shattered something. Because if he truly believed I was faithful, there would be no if. And if the test confirmed what I already knew, would that erase the fact that he doubted me? Or would that doubt linger anyway, reshaped into something else? Trust, once cracked, doesn't return in its original shape. I realized something chilling in that moment. This wasn't just about paternity, it was about power. By buying that test without asking me, Ethan shifted the dynamic. He moved from partner to investigator, from husband to judge, and I was suddenly on trial without a courtroom. I walked into the bedroom, picked up the box, held it in my hands, and for the first time since Valentine's morning, I felt anger rise clearly. Not panic, not fear, anger. Because love built on silent suspicion is not stable. It's conditional. I looked at Ethan. "You want certainty?" I said. "Yes." "Then we're going to do this together." His jaw tightened slightly. "What do you mean?" "I mean you don't get to hand me a test like evidence in a crime and walk away clean." The room felt smaller. He didn't expect resistance. He expected compliance, peace of mind. But peace for him meant humiliation for me. And I wasn't sure I was ready to swallow that quietly. The white box felt heavier than it should have, because inside it wasn't just a DNA swab. It was 8 years of unspoken doubt, 8 years of silent comparison, 8 years of him looking at our daughter and wondering. I placed the box back on the dresser slowly. "We'll talk about this tomorrow," I said. And for the first time since Valentine's morning, he looked uncertain. Not about Lily, about me. Because something had shifted, and he could feel it. I turned off the lights. But in the darkness, one thought kept repeating. What if this test proves more than paternity? What if it proves our marriage was never as secure as I believed? And the most terrifying question of all, what if certainty doesn't save us? The test sat between us like a loaded weapon. Just on Valentine's Day, my husband gifted me a DNA test and said nothing. 4 days later, we were finally about to use it. Not because we were calm, not because we agreed, but because silence had become unbearable. Ethan placed the box on the kitchen table again that Saturday morning. No ceremony, no speech, just quiet inevitability. Lily was at a birthday party. The house felt too large without her laughter. "This doesn't leave this room," he said. I almost laughed, as if doubt that lived 8 years could be contained inside drywall. We read the instructions together. Step 1, swab the inside of the child's cheek. Step 2, seal the sample. Step 3, mail. So clinical, so detached. There was something grotesque about reducing fatherhood to a cotton stick. "You're swabbing her," I said. He hesitated, then nodded. It mattered. If he needed certainty, he needed to feel the action. I drove to pick Lily up early. I lied and told her we had a science project. She was excited. That hurt more than suspicion. Back home, she sat at the kitchen table swinging her legs. Ethan crouched in front of her. "Open wide, Peanut," he said softly. His voice was steady. Too steady. She giggled as he swabbed her cheek. "In case you ever want to know where your ancestors are from," I added quickly. Half truth, half defense. When it was done, she ran upstairs to play. The envelope lay sealed on the table. Ethan stared at it like it was a verdict. I watched him, not angry, not broken, just calculating. "You really think I cheated?" I said quietly. He didn't look up. "I think I need to remove the question." That answer was worse than yes. No, because it meant he believed doubt was rational. I mailed the envelope myself. The postal worker stamped it without knowing she was sending away 8 years of marriage. The wait time was estimated at 7 to 10 business days. It felt like a countdown. The house shifted during that week. We became polite roommates, careful with tone, measured with affection. We still cooked dinner, still packed Lily's lunch, still kissed her goodnight. But between us, there was a layer of glass. And here's what no one prepares you for. When someone questions paternity, they're not just questioning biology. They're questioning your character, your memory, your loyalty, your integrity. I replayed the months before Lily was conceived. Marcus had messaged me once after I started dating Ethan. A simple "hope you're well." I never responded. But now, under suspicion, even innocent things felt incriminating. Did I delete something? Did Ethan see something years ago? Was this seed planted long before Valentine's Day? On the 6th day, Ethan asked something that chilled me. "If it's negative, what then?" Negative. As if Lily were a lab result. I stared at him. "You think there's a possibility?" He didn't answer. He just held my gaze. That was the first time fear entered me. Not because I doubted Lily's paternity, but because I realized how far his doubt had grown. This wasn't a passing insecurity. This was sustained suspicion. And sustained suspicion means imagination. What stories had he built in his head? What scenes had he replayed without me knowing? On the 9th day, the email arrived. Subject line: Your results are ready. Ethan was at work. I saw it first. My heart didn't race, it dropped. I could have opened it alone. I didn't. Instead, I forwarded it to him with one line: Come home. He arrived in under 30 minutes. No traffic excuses, no delay. We sat side by side on the couch, not touching. He opened the email, scrolled, clicked. And then, he froze. Not in relief, not in rage, just still. What does it say? I asked. He didn't answer. He handed me the phone. Probability of paternity: 99.9999%, confirmed biological father. Exactly what I knew. Exactly what I expected. I looked at him, waiting for apology, relief, shame. Instead, he exhaled slowly, as if something heavy had finally settled. Okay, he said. Okay. That was it. 8 years of doubt. A Valentine's Day ambush. A child swabbed under false pretenses. And all he had was okay. Aren't you going to say something? I asked. What do you want me to say? I stared at him. I want you to tell me why you thought this was necessary. He looked away, and that's when the real twist began. It wasn't about Marcus, he said quietly. The name landed anyway. Then what was it about? He rubbed his hands together. You remember when Lily was 3 and she got lost at the mall? Of course I remembered. Every parent does. 7 minutes of missing child. Security called. Stores locked down. Panic that rewires your DNA. We found her, I said carefully. Yes. He swallowed. But when they brought her back, for a second, I didn't feel it. I frowned. Feel what? The connection. The air shifted. I was terrified, he continued. Not, but there was a split second where I looked at her and thought, what if she's not mine? My chest tightened. That doesn't make sense. I know. He looked almost ashamed now. I've struggled with it for years. Every time she didn't look like me. Every time someone joked about resemblance. So this wasn't about cheating. No. It was worse. It was about emotional detachment, about a fracture he never told me about. You've doubted your connection to her for 5 years? I whispered. He nodded once. And you never thought to tell me? I was afraid of what it meant. There it was. Not betrayal, not infidelity, fear. But fear kept secret becomes accusation. You turned your insecurity into an investigation, I said slowly. I needed proof so I could silence it. Silence it. Like Lily was a theory. And if the test came back the same? I asked carefully. He looked confused. What do you mean? If it confirmed you were her father, but you still felt nothing? He didn't answer immediately. And that silence scared me more than any result could have. Because biology doesn't create attachment. Presence does. Effort does. Honesty does. You thought DNA would fix something emotional, I said quietly. He didn't deny it. And suddenly, I understood. The test wasn't about me. It wasn't about Marcus. It wasn't even about Lily. It was about Ethan's quiet fear that he was disconnected from his own child. And instead of confronting that fear, he redirected it into suspicion, which was easier than vulnerability. That realization didn't comfort me. It unsettled me. because now we weren't dealing with trust between spouses. We were dealing with something deeper, a father unsure of his bond. That night, after Lily went to bed, Ethan sat on the edge of her bed longer than usual, watching her sleep, studying her face, as if the DNA result had granted him permission to feel something. I stood in the hallway, unseen, and I wondered something I hadn't considered before. What if the test didn't save our marriage? What if it exposed something far more fragile? The doubt is gone, but something else has replaced it. And I'm not sure which is worse. The DNA test confirmed what I had always known. 99.9999%. Biological father. Case closed. Except it wasn't. Because the test didn't fix the silence that had lived between us for years. On Valentine's Day, my husband gifted me a DNA test and said nothing. Now the result had spoken. And somehow, it said more about our marriage than either of us expected. For 2 days after the results, Ethan was lighter, not joyful, but relieved. He played with Lily more, laughed louder, sat closer at dinner, as if biology had given him permission to fully claim her. That should have comforted me. Instead, it disturbed me. Because if a lab result could switch his certainty on and off, what did that say about the foundation of his love? On the third night, after Lily went to sleep, I finally asked the question that had been sitting in my throat. If the test had come back different, what would you have done? Ethan didn't answer immediately. He stared at his hands. I don't know, he admitted. That honesty was more frightening than a lie. You don't know? I repeated. I would have stayed, he said quickly. I think. Think. Even now, uncertainty lingered in his language. Ethan, I said carefully, you weren't afraid I cheated. You were afraid you didn't feel enough. He looked up at me, and for the first time since Valentine's morning, his composure cracked. I love her, he said defensively. I know you do, but love isn't always the same as connection, and he knew it. That moment at the mall 5 years ago, when Lily disappeared for 7 minutes, had fractured something in him. He told me the rest that night. When security found her, she ran into my arms first, not his. She clung to me, cried into my shoulder. He stood there, frozen. Not because he didn't care, but because he felt peripheral, replaceable. And instead of admitting that insecurity, he buried it. Then he started noticing differences. Her eyes, her gestures, her laugh. Anything that didn't mirror him became evidence. Not proof. Evidence. And once your brain starts collecting evidence, it doesn't stop. It builds a case. For 5 years, he had quietly constructed one. Not against me, against himself. Because here's the darker truth. It was easier for him to believe she might not be his biologically than to admit he felt emotionally inadequate. That realization hit me harder than the test ever could. You thought DNA would solve a feeling, I said. I thought it would silence the doubt. Did it? He hesitated. Yes. And no. That was the most honest answer he'd given. The doubt about paternity was gone. But the deeper question remained. Why did he feel disconnected in the first place? The following week, something unexpected happened. Lily had a school performance, a small stage, some bright lights, second-row seats. She was nervous. I could see it in the way she twisted her fingers. Before she went backstage, she looked at both of us. But this time, she ran to Ethan first, wrapped her arms around his waist. "Wish me luck, Daddy." I saw something shift in his face. Not relief, not validation. Something softer. Recognition. When she walked away, he exhaled slowly. "She chose you," I said gently. He nodded. I didn't realize how much I needed that. And that's when I understood something uncomfortable about marriage. Sometimes the conflict isn't about betrayal, it's about unspoken insecurity. Ethan's silence on Valentine's Day wasn't cold. It was cowardly, not malicious, but avoidant. He handed me a DNA test because it was easier than handing me his vulnerability. Easier than saying, "I'm scared I'm not enough for my own child." The test was never about Marcus. It was about masculinity, about fatherhood, about the quiet pressure men feel to see themselves reflected, physically, emotionally, in their children. When they don't, they question everything, including their wives. The problem is, he made his insecurity my accusation, and that leaves damage. Even with the results in hand, I had to ask myself something painful. Can I fully trust someone who doubted me for 5 years and never told me? Trust isn't only about fidelity, it's about transparency, about sharing fear before it metastasizes. One night, I told him exactly that. "You don't get to investigate me because you're afraid to investigate yourself." He didn't argue. He didn't defend. He just listened. And then he did something he hadn't done in years. He cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, restrained tears of someone who had been carrying shame alone. "I thought something was wrong with me," he admitted. "I thought I was broken because I didn't feel that immediate, overwhelming bond everyone talks about." There it was. Comparison. The same poison that ruins so many things. He expected fireworks, instant connection, perfect father instinct. When it didn't happen that way, he internalized it, and then projected it. Onto me, onto Marcus, onto Lily's eyes. The DNA test didn't fix his bond with Lily. Presence did, conversations did, vulnerability did, and therapy. Yes, we started therapy, did. Because certainty from a lab is temporary, but emotional repair requires work. Months have passed now. Valentine's Day feels distant. The white box is gone. But I kept the printed results. Not as proof, as a reminder. A reminder that silence is dangerous, that doubt grows in darkness, and that the most painful betrayals aren't always affairs. Sometimes they're years of unspoken fear. Ethan reads to Lily every night now, not out of obligation, out of intention. I see him studying her less, listening more, and slowly, something authentic has replaced calculation. As for us, we are rebuilding, not from infidelity, from avoidance, and that's a different kind of repair. If you're expecting a dramatic ending, divorce papers, shocking revelations, hidden lovers, this isn't that story. The real twist was quieter, more uncomfortable. My husband didn't gift me a DNA test because he thought I cheated. He gifted it because he didn't know how to say, "I'm afraid I'm not enough." And sometimes the people we love hurt us not because they doubt us, but because they doubt themselves. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to this story. If it made you think, reflect, or see relationships differently, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to hear more stories like this. Your support means more than you know. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next story.